Welcome, everyone, for week 9. I looked it up before we started playing, of our Destiny Horizon campaign. I know, I'm way ahead of the game today. And joining me is my illustrious cast of characters here. We've got Jonathan, who's playing Toonpo. John, I hear you're going to Disney World next week? Disney World. Tell us about it. Are you excited?
Oh, yeah. We splurged for the $65 a piece tickets to the crazy Star Wars show on the 2nd, which is my wife's birthday, which is like all you can eat desserts and all you can eat alcohol and front row seats to the show. And a Chewbacca Stein bigger than my head. So
booze and cakes.
I have a question. Are you going to be there a couple days?
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to be in Disney World, capital of Star Wars now, for May the 4th.
Yes.
So fucking jealous. Anyway.
Oh, that's right. That's the thing. Oh, yeah.
I gotta give hats off to Jonathan here because he goes, I thought this campaign was next week, so I was just gonna play from Disney World. Bitch, if I was in Disney World, I'd be like, there's no game this week. We are delaying. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, Jonathan don't give a fuck. He don't give a fuck if there's tornadoes. He don't give a fuck if he's in Disney World, Star Wars capital on May 4th weekend. He will just drink from his giant Chewbacca Stein and still play the game. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Jonathan, and I am looking forward to seeing more of Toonpo, especially since now you're kind of in this mix-up with Laren, who, from comments that I've heard from people, they actually like the Toonpo-Laren dynamic, so let's go ahead and thank you very much. Do you have anything you want to plug? Any games you're in that might be on YouTube?
Oh, we've not started recording, and I don't know if we're going to, but I've just started up D&D with a couple guys that we met up from the One Shot group on Facebook, which is usually just single games, but we ended up getting together for a campaign. So, but
Good.
If you are into One Shot games, check it out.
Yeah, the OSG group has some great games. A lot of really cool GMs too. Some of them I laugh and cry and get angry all in the same episode. Thank you very much, Jonathan. We'll keep our eyes open. If that does get posted, let me know so I can put a link in the video. We're going to move over to Azel while his camera's working and his camera's not pointing up at the ceiling. How you doing, Azel?
I'm doing okay. It's not pointing up just yet, but it'll happen.
Now, I want to know, Kaz in an interesting place. He just found out that Commander...
I was going to say that's an understatement, but yeah, go ahead.
He just found out that Commander Reed is dead. He's got blue aliens that just robbed him of something. He's got a crazy box coffin thing with a Dark Lord speaking to him and convincing him to take him back to the other galaxy. And he's been stabbed and almost killed multiple times. I find the interesting thing about Grakaza, though, is he's very Wookiee. Because despite the fact that I've almost killed him on several occasions, he doesn't stop. And when I edit your scenes, I honestly do it to the song, I get knocked down, get up again. That to me just plays right in my head. What's your reflection on Grakaza's current position?
I don't know, Grakaza's kind of in a tenuous place. I mean, he's just gone through so much in such a short window of time. And that just seems to be the trend ever since they got to this galaxy. Is that just very short spurts of drama and trauma, and then very minimal amounts of time to kind of take stock and take a breath before it just all goes to hell again.
Well,
so
I'm glad you said that, because you've only been here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's
think
just how
we definitely
ridiculous it is.
have a chance to slow it down. The Empire's, got its tail stuck between its legs. And Toonpo's tide change won everybody, by the way. Jonathan's tide changed from last episode 1. It might actually give us a little bit of time to breathe. But remember, Grakaza, in all the instances that you guys have been dying and crying and bleeding to death, just remember that it's your tide changes that have done this to you. You are your own worst enemy. And I think you do it to yourself, and I think Azel loves hurting Grakaza. Because your tide change last time, the last week's tide change you had was just as bad.
Yeah.
Well, are you in any projects recently, or enjoying any fun games?
Not on any projects. I've been messing around with Steel Division, Normandy 44. It's a new strategy game. That's basically World War II. It's pretty fun. No gameplay yet, but I'm thinking about maybe doing something with it.
Excellent. Well, let me know if you need any help, and I will promote your channel once you give me the information.
Cool.
And we are actually going to move up to Brian, who plays Valerie. Brian, I got the feeling from the last episode that Valerie was the caretaker babysitter of a lot of the drama that was going on in the group, including Commander Zoran finding out his wife is here when she should be pregnant and finding out that she miscarried and she's actually from the future, and that strained relationship. Among other things, you also just found out that Commander Reed had passed, and he's been your strongest advocate as far as keeping the military from just seizing the civilian fleet and forcing martial law. What's your approach on that? How does Valerie feel about that?
About which one?
All of it.
All of it? Well, it seems to be the place of women to always be the nurturing one, trying to keep everybody and everyone in one piece emotionally, or at least try to.
I actually like that thought. I actually like that thought a lot, because she is taking care of people, and she's making sure that everybody is, functioning. And I think that, given the context of what's been going on, Valerie's doing a lot behind the scenes to keep the crew held together that I don't think they realize, especially your group.
She doesn't, and it's like it almost comes naturally in a weird way to her. She's not just focused, like a lot of scientists and things are very focused on what they're doing, and sometimes when it comes to dealing with emotions in people, they tend to sometimes push it aside. I think she kind of sees what's going on with them and realizes that, they need someone to kind of maybe pat them on the back and say it's going to be okay, or hug them, or tell them to go sit down.
I like that. And what I loved about last episode is we definitely saw her taking care of everybody in the crew without even breaking a sweat. Grakaza is trying to tackle the commander. He's trying to threaten people's lives if they touch the sarcophagus. And she's just like, okay, Grakaza, go sit down. And then there's somebody messaging the ship, and then this is happening, and this is happening. And Valerie ran from room to room to room to room on the Destiny Horizon, which is a frigate, so it's not exactly a short walk. And she just seems to do it so effortlessly. And I gotta give you props for that.
Well, thank you. Although she did download the virus. But, she knew that it's either 50-50 there. It could be good or it could be bad. And then she should have realized, naturally, it's going to be bad. But I was surprised we managed to at least take care of that. And,
that's not your fault. Clearly, that's the Rebellion's fault for installing Windows on a frigate. So don't even worry about it. We'll move past it. All right. Ethan. Did you see the last week's episode, Ethan, or at least parts of it?
Of course. Right when it was posted, I was watching it.
How did you feel about the battle scenes? Did I give Coran a good sign off with the music and stuff?
Yes, it was very, very powerful. Of course, during the game, I can't watch everybody because I'm thinking, but it was great to see how everyone reacted.
Yeah, I didn't notice it until I was watching it and editing it. Like, the players were definitely moved and shocked and sad. I really hope you cried, because that was my goal with it. Anyway, so Edos is actually a really interesting character, and I had put a picture of him just because it was so Star Warsy in the one of the cutscenes in my XSplit, but I also changed the token. To be clear, guys, the main character from Hell on Wheels, an AMC show that I'm not even going to tell you what it's about because you should just go see it. Flat out. I don't like Westerns. I think Westerns is a lot like watching Shakespeare on TV. They're almost always cheesy. And other than Westworld, which isn't really a Western, Hell on Wheels is probably the best historically genre accurate. I don't want to say historically accurate because there's a lot of stuff they fluff on, but they did a really good job with it, and you chose the facade of the main character. And honestly, you wearing that hat right now with your with your beard, I can see it, and that's going to help me a lot. And I can't wait to see how you roleplay this, because Coran was your first character you ever played.
Yep.
I want to see how Edos is, and I think that as the episodes go on, you might even start developing a character voice for him and stuff. I'm not talking like Petrov. I just mean like an identity.
No, I'm gonna try to bring my southern charm to.
I would
to this.
love that. If you did that, I would be raining you with so much GM favor. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I will try my best.
Now, do you want me to dig a grave for him now, or should I wait till later?
You know, you can wait a little bit. You know,
Okay,
let's let him, feel like he's alive for a bit.
Let him marinate a little bit. Okay, that's fine. All right, well, thank you all. You all could take note about Ethan's effort. So, Toonpo, Jonathan, I'd like you to glue pancakes to your face the next time we play. Valerie, if you could wear a blonde wig, and Grakaza, just throw hair all over your face.
Sounds good.
We want them to root for us, not to run screaming.
That's true. And Jonathan, don't glue pancakes on your face, because I will get hungry throughout the entire session, and that's not good. I want some friggin' IHOP, and I'll just disappear and not come back. Let's get into this then. I know, I love IHOP. In fact, Brian, I got to show you pictures. The other day I made homemade stuffed French toast, and I was just like...
Oh, good.
And
stuffed French toast? What did you stuff it with?
Cold sweats?
No, I make my own cream cheese filling.
So
I go to the fruit stand and I get like peaches and strawberries, and I make peach strawberry stuffed French toast.
That's good.
And peaches and strawberries is a flavor that people need to combine more often. And I first started doing a lot of stuff like this because my daddy's a chef and stuff like that. But my mom's very famous for taking cottage cheese and mixing it with her peaches. And I was like, So
I like cottage cheese and pineapple.
She loves cottage cheese and fruit, and it makes me do the Mon Calamari face every time I think about it.
Real quick, there's an episode of Julia Child's The French Chef where she makes lasagna a la francais, and she uses cottage cheese, and she says, well, we're using cottage cheese because I have it, but I can't. And she goes, usually we use that Italian cheese, but I can't think of the name. Okay. But she used cottage cheese. And of course, even though, how she did it, it came out, it looked great. But sorry, go ahead. It just reminded me, and
That's
I
okay.
had to say it right.
I use cottage cheese in my lasagna too, but I make dishwasher lasagna. I don't use an oven.
I like cottage cheese more than I would admit to some of my culinary friends.
All right, well,
I used it to stuff shells. Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
Yes.
Let's get into the game and stop talking about food, because now I'm hungry, even though I just ate. So we're going to move into this, and let's open up the scene. Where should we open the scene first? Who feels confident enough that they want to be the first one to go?
If no one, then me. I mean,
you're all chicken shits. All right. Here's what
I was
we're
about
gonna
to
do.
say something, but go ahead.
First, let's roll Destiny. And when we roll our Destiny, I do have to make sure that I clear my Destiny pool. When we do roll Destiny, just keep in mind, if more dark side is rolled, I get to choose. If more light side is rolled, then we will all collectively choose. Okay, everybody, go on to your sheet and roll Destiny, which is up in near the Destiny pool. Edos with 2 light sides. Oh, Grikazo with two
Oh.
dark sides. You my boy, Grikazo.
I got you, buddy.
You my boy.
I still have in my Destiny pool that has 1 light and 6 dark. Is that so? That's probably
Hit
my
GM
Hit
sync.
pool or hit sync. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sync pool.
All right.
GM.
I just sync pool with GM. This is 2 and 3. So is that normal? Is that okay?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's where
And
we're
then
at.
you
Yep.
just hit roll
Alright.
Destiny.
Okay,
Okay,
then.
3-3. And the tiebreaker goes to me, because I represent the natural order of the Force.
Ooh. Yep.
Oh my.
That's okay.
Force player update. There we go. It should be 3 and 5 on everybody's sheets. And
Okay.
just to be clear, we are going to continue onward. So I get to choose. And I think for this one, I am going to choose that the setting takes place a few days after the battle. As the credits peel up through the stars, the camera sinks down onto the Destiny horizon, who's got 3 engines in operation. The others have been badly damaged during the fight. A huge debris field is massed out off one of the side ports. The debris field is so dangerous that the ships that are involved in this confrontation that sets on in view underway don't dare travel through it. Pieces of the Superstar Destroyer that was badly damaged, pieces of fighters, landing craft, it's all everywhere. But it's actually worked as a good barrier for the Destiny horizon, because on the other side of this debris field are 7 very, very, very patient Trade Federation battle cruisers who are waiting for Laren to be turned over to them. Not having faith in the rebellion crew, they hired their inside man, Edos Star. Edos, you hit the button like Laren said. The lights went out, then they came back on, and pow! You see a giant fleet in front of you. Laren stands up from the floor plate, almost sliding his back up the wall as he peers over the chair and looks out the cockpit and goes, "Oh, where are we?"
You got about 5 seconds to tell me where we are.
As you turn around and you tell this to him, you notice that all your battle droid escorts are sitting there with their heads slumped. Apparently they are now out of range from their command center. Listen, I don't know where we are, okay? So clearly we're going to have to work together. But I'm entirely sure by all the armaments on those vessels right there, we're not safe from this flotilla.
Can you pilot this thing?
Of course. Could you roll? I need you to roll against 2 purple. No, 3 purple, because he's actually very good.
Okay.
Actually, we're going to change that. 2 purple and 1 black. And
Okay.
what on your character sheet do you think you would roll to see if somebody was lying to you?
Maybe a... Oh. Could a negotiation do it? Since if I was negotiating with someone and they're like, oh, well, maybe this, I like that.
So yes, but how this is falling out is you're not accusing him of lying. You're basically negotiating him to tell you the truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is funny because that's exactly Cannon's character on Hell on Wheels. Look, I know you're lying, but we could be friends. So, roll me a negotiation versus 2 purple and 1 black.
All right. First roll in that.
Ignore the force.
I don't know why I did that.
I did. That's me. That's me. But ignore the force thing. That's still amazing.
Okay.
A triumph is exactly what
Wow.
we're looking for. He realizes... Actually, let's roleplay this. Tell me how
Okay.
you're asking him. So he goes, you know... And he gives you the look like, of course I can.
As he does that, I'll stand there with my left hand on my hip and my right hand is on the butt of my pistol. And I already cracked him once with a bottle, so if I go to guns, he ain't gonna be living long. So
And
as I do that, I kind
negotiating?
of walk towards him.
Okay, he doesn't flinch because you're not being coercive. He's like, of course I could fly. I mean, if I couldn't fly, why would I steal the ship and try to get to the Trade Federation?
Yeah, well, you were a long ways from the Trade Federation last time I checked.
I was flying one of their battle cruisers outside the... whatever they called it. I think it's called, like, Happy Sunrise or whatever that ship is. And you see he places his hand on his pistol. Because he, too, is quite proficient with it. And it's a sporting blaster. Now, much like the West, there's an unspoken law in wild space. You cannot go to prison for shooting anybody if it was self-defense. So that's how these gunfights work. He's basically meeting your challenge. He's got his hand on the pistol, and he's waiting for you to draw and shoot first so that he could shoot you back and not have to go to prison for it. Especially since you're a lawman for the Trade Federation.
I'll look back at the pilot seat and go, there it is. Start flying.
Some nervousness passes over his face. Like a blanket in an elevator when you pass gas and you don't want anyone to notice and they just look really uncomfortable. He looks very embarrassed. And he goes, okay, then I will. And he sits down in the seat and says, do you know how to run communications equipment?
I can give him my best shot.
Great, because we're receiving a comms. And he points to a small little yellow button that's flashing.
I'm going to step back and go, why don't you press that one?
All right. And he takes his long black hair and slicks it back so that it looks really nice. You can tell that he's had some hair gel or something. And as he slicks it back, blood kind of trickles from his head where recently a bottle crashed over his head. And he picks up a little headset and puts it on. Holds the mic. What's this ship named again?
You're the one who stole it. I have no idea.
So then all of a sudden he hits comms and his voice, very smooth and oily, goes, hello, how can I help you? Stars End, this is Captain Regis. Where's the Destiny Horizon? Why have you come back?
I have stolen it.
And then he holds his hand over the mic. Destiny Horizon, not Happy Sunrise. I was close. And then he gets this look on his face. And you get a really bad feeling about this.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're the only survivors. The Destiny Horizon was destroyed by the people in the triangle ships. And then he looks back at you like, I got this.
I'm going to grab the mic from him.
Yeah, you're going to rip it off his head?
Yeah.
He's just like,
Sorry, what was your name, Captain?
Excuse me, Captain Regis. Did he say the Destiny Horizon was destroyed?
Negative. He's had one too many to drink.
Aaron shrugs and pulls a flask out of his vest and just takes a swig.
My name is Private Investigator Edos Star. I'm part of the Trade Federation.
What? The Trade Federation?
A bit of a long story, but your people are okay. They're just heavily damaged.
All right,
we could use a pilot over here.
Well, how'd you get over here if you don't have a pilot? Where's Valerie?
Yeah, I don't know. Valerie?
Laren looks up to you and goes, she perished.
Shut
Why
up.
I took the ship.
And kind of cover the mic, but they can kind of hear. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll send a team up your way. We've got some
Sounds good. We'll be
technicians
waiting.
that'll be able to help you out. And then the
Fantastic.
comms get cut. That went smoother than I thought. I didn't know they were with them.
I bet you didn't.
And the moment you see that, you see the fleet starts to bank. They're not making an approach vector, but they're pointed back the direction you came. And the fueling vessel appears to be launching small little pods that are headed towards the star's end.
Do you got scanning equipment on this thing?
Of course. He moves over. I just don't know how to work it.
I bet you can figure it out.
Listen. I'm the kind of guy who doesn't get my hands dirty. You look like you've used a computer once or twice in your life. And then he looks at you up and down and goes, never mind. And he just starts messing with the scanning equipment. And he's like, well, I'm jamming their scanners. That's not right. And he just starts tinkering with it some more. And after a moment or two, he finally gets a scan. Ah, yes. Ship on our approach vector. 3 of them. They're relatively small. It's possible it's engineering crews. There's no armaments. But according to this computer, the data on them is unknown. Edos, you recognize the ship as part of the gas giant that's a giant fuel company.
Mhm.
And these are their engineering pods. Which means that you know that if this fleet didn't steal that fueling vessel, it's probably full of a lot of those tiny little blue, very angry, very hostile engineers on their way to your ship.
You know what? Since you're such a smooth talker, I think when our visitors come, you should talk to them.
Absolutely. Did you know they have bedrooms over here? And he motions down the hallway.
Yeah, one's filled with a bunch of bottles that I can hit you with if you try anything.
Not at all. I'm just going to get better prepared. And he goes up to one of the battle droids and starts fumbling with its hand to try to get it to release its rifle.
No. That ain't happening.
You sure?
You know what? He's gonna help him get one, and then set it to stun, and like kind of try to bust it so it stays on stun.
Well, you look at the gun and you realize it doesn't have a stun mode. Droids aren't really interested in taking prisoners.
All right. Well, can I get it out of its hand then?
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it takes
Okay.
some wrenching, but you get it out of its hand.
I'm gonna pass it to him with my hand on my blaster.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you realize how much of a sportsman he is with guns, because he starts taking out the energy clip, looking at it, unscrewing the barrel a little bit, checking it for burn scoring, puts it back on, holds it out. Bit antiquated, but this'll do.
You turn that thing on me, and I'll forgo my 7,500.
He smiles and says, "Oh, I wouldn't think about it, Mr. Starr." And then the screen wipes. Valerie, you're aboard
Yes.
the Destiny Horizon, having finally purged the last of the virus that was installed in the computers. You're sitting there in the lounge, and a few of the officers, they've come and go, mainly to get some coffee and just a little bit of nutrition, but the mood on the ship is somber. Not very many people are communicating. And Valeria is frustrated. Her hair, she's a Twi'lek. Never. Her clothes are a mess. And she just looks like she's very frazzled. She's got dark circles under her eyes, which with her red skin makes them look crimson. And she yawns as she gets more of the stale coffee out of the pot into a cup. And brings 2 cups over, one for you, one for her. She takes the seat down. Toonpo, is it likely that you would be near Valerie, or are you kind of the exploring type? It's only been a couple days.
I don't think I'm comfortable enough to wander around this ship yet. So I'm
What are you
sticking
doing in
near
the lounge?
familiar faces. Imagine him wanting to be helpful if possible. Or have stuck close to the bridge as far as the people in commando structure, so he doesn't just end up somewhere that's going to get in trouble.
I think then you would be in the lounge, because splayed in front of Valerie are star charts, and Valeria is convinced that the ship has returned to the fleet, the Star's End. She's also convinced that that might be a good thing. If Laren is smart enough, he'll tell the fleet where you guys are. But the commander's orders were not to come to the spot, and if the Destiny Horizon didn't make it back, to assume that they were dead and move on. So Laren's going to have to convince them to come to you. In the meantime, you have overheard that the hyperdrive is active and functioning, but the engines are inactive. So there's no way to turn it on safely without ripping the ship to pieces.
The Star's End, right?
No, the Destiny Horizon. To get back
the
to the
Destiny
fleet.
Horizon.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So the hyperdrive works, but most of the engines on the backside have been hit pretty hard by strike bombers.
How are we on sublight engines?
That's what you guys are using right now. Very, very...
Okay.
You're going at impulse speeds.
All right.
So... And the Trade Federation is just following slowly behind, keeping their distance.
Well, try and... I think one of the things... I'm sure the crews are already trying to work on the hyperdrive, correct?
Well, the hyperdrive's fine, but it's the engines. And although they are equipped to work on them, there's really no parts.
Okay. Well, let's see. I wonder if we could talk to the... okay, well, one of the things, before I forget this, one of the things in the last 3 days, Valerie's going to try and do, at least to keep the science team, which is here, keep them occupied, is have them pack up what we have and get ready to move over to that other ship. If and when, hopefully, we connect with the rest of the fleet, we're going to move to... What do they call them? The Princess Leia ship from...
Corellian Corvettes, yep.
The Corellian Corvette, to where there was going to be a Corellian Corvette, was going to be the new lab. So have them do as much as they can and keep things, to keep them occupied, to try not to think about what's been going on and think of our situation.
Well, can I have you roll a leadership against 3 purple? Because
sure.
This will represent your ability to keep the science crews working, but it will also represent whether or not the Duros is offended that you're basically asserting your control over the group when they've never officially agreed to work with you.
Okay. Let's see. Where's it? Oh, okay. Let's see how this goes.
Success. Let's say that the threat is that the Duros feels threatened by you because of how well the scientists respond to you.
Okay.
And Tunpo, how do you feel about this? You've been with the scientists the entire time. How does it feel seeing Valerie basically assert herself in a non-aggressive way, and the scientists are just like, yeah, and the Duros is like, guess it makes sense.
I imagine he's been around these guys long enough to know that, the Duros can rub people the wrong way, and has seen firsthand that Valerie's, running here and there and making things work where he doesn't think, he couldn't do that sort of thing. So he is trying to stay kind of alongside the Duros scientist leader to be like, all right, man, it's just, this is fine. We have to get in. We have to do this together, So he's agreeing with Valerie, asserting control because she's obviously capable, but trying to make him kind of
Let's
calm.
have you do a charm check against 2 purple. And I'm going to give you a boost die because the Duros does trust you. All right. I think the threat is just that the Duros knows what you're saying is true, But he's being very stubborn. So he's like, yeah, you're right, I know. But he's like, first chance I get my crew back. Perfect. So that's kind of what you guys have been doing in the past two to 3 days. And now you're looking at all these star charts about possible ways or maybe even planets that are close by that you guys could spend a few months flying to. Because that's how long it'll take to get from one planet to the other. But you don't know much about...
You said there's Trade Federation that are nearby, correct?
Oh, they're following you, yep.
This is something I probably would want to talk to the captain about. So I'm going to tell Valeria, she looks like she needs to rest. And she probably needs like a nap or something. There's nothing she can do about the Star's End until it comes back. Hopefully it comes back. And
Valeria laughs at your suggestion and says, I can sleep when I'm dead. What we really need to do is we need Grakaza to help us with this. If anybody can get those engines running, it's him. But since Commander Reed is passing...
Well, we'll have to talk to him too. But one of the things I want to talk to the captain about something maybe with the Trade Federation.
Zoran?
Maybe we can get them.
What?
Maybe we can get the Trade Federation to help us with the engines.
You know what? And this is the first time I think you see this. She looks resolved, and she takes a sip of her coffee and places it down. I'll talk with Zoran. I can get a lot further than you can.
Okay.
But maybe you and Toon Po... And by the way, she reaches out and kind of squeezes Toon Po's hand. You have been an invaluable help to us. And then releases it. And even though she was an exotic dancer was her cover as a rebel agent... You can tell that the things that she learned from being an exotic dancer, she applies subconsciously without realizing it. So to get Toon Po's attention and to reassure him and to make him feel better about himself, it's a simple squeeze of the hand. And it works. So Toon Po, for the next 24 hours, any kind of checks that you make that might have you doubting yourself, I'm going to give you a boost die. And she says, you two should go and speak with Grakaza. He's locked himself in the engineering bay. And Jebediah and him aren't on speaking terms. Maybe if you could patch that up, that would be a good way to start.
Yeah.
She nods
and
leaves.
So we'll head down there.
Down to engineering?
Yeah.
Yeah, Grakaza, you're in the engineering compartment. And you're alone. And in your hand... is this picture of Hoth. And there's a metal burn barrel burning. And O'Brien is cuddled real close to the burn barrel, freezing his ass off, warming his hands. Petrov is off to the side, smiling at whoever's taking the picture. And Jebediah and you are arms in arm, like buddies. And you guys are laughing. And Reed is slamming back a drink that you guys made in this homemade distillery that's next to the burn barrel because he lost a dare. This is the same picture that you found when O'Brien died. It's the same picture you've kept with you and you looked at when Petrov died. And now you're looking at it again, and Coran's dead. The only two people alive in this picture are you and Jebediah. And you can't help but feel that pretty soon, it'll just be you who's alive. And this picture will be nothing more than a page of history. Describe the room. Did you barricade yourself? You know, what does it look like now that Grakaza's been camping out here for 2 to 3 days?
I think Grakaza wouldn't necessarily barricade himself in, but it would just be kind of this... The room maybe doesn't look as dirty as you might expect it to, but it's just because he hasn't really done much. It's just he's been just really sitting there deep in contemplation and just thinking and taking his time. And then,
has he been
but it's
eating?
Just very dark. Not really.
So I'm going to say that maybe there's some fruit and nut MREs that have been dropped off by various concerned crewmen. The only time you've seen Jebediah, he walked in the room and looked at you for a moment and hesitated as if he wanted to say something, but just grabbed a cigar off the shelf, took one of the MREs and left. But you could tell when he walked in, he was shocked to see you there, and his mouth opened as if words wanted to come out, but then anger returned. So you're looking at this picture. How does it make you feel?
Kind of lost. And also just feeling a profound sense of loss at the same time.
As you're looking at this picture and you're just feeling this sense of loss, you look up and you see the piece of paper that you had drafted with Ethan, and it's the old crest of the Idiot's Array, and then concepts that you and him had come up with for the Rook's Array when the rookie died, and all those people on Praxis when they were fried by the lasers. Your fingers kind of trace over an old scar of the lightsabers from the Sith Inquisitors.
I kind of just pick up one of the scraps and start looking over the old designs.
That's when you get an alert almost at the door where it's like somebody wants in. The gonk, the centipede gonk is in the room, by the way, and it's just like gonk, gonk.
I reach over and just kind of pat the gonk droid on the head.
It shudders back and forth, and it's very happy to receive the attention.
And then I get up and I just open the door.
Yeah, Valerie and Tumpo standing there. What do your guys' faces look like when Gurkaza opens the door? And Gurkaza, would you say that it's warm in the room? Have you kept it like Kashyyykian humidity for comfort, or is it just the same as the rest of the ship?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty warm. Maybe not that humid, considering that we're in a ship. There's not too much we can do, but...
Well, and actually, with all the air conditioners, you could probably make it pretty freaking humid. Because down here, it usually gets really dry and hot, so there's air conditioners to moisten the air.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Then yeah, I'll just say that it's kind of humid.
Yeah, you guys, as the door opens, condensation is formed on the top of the door frame on the inside, and you feel this wall of humidity press against you. And Gurkaza's standing there. But you don't look too nasty, right? You're not dirty, you just look lost.
No, I've been trying to take care of myself. I just haven't been eating necessarily. I haven't had an appetite.
Actually, that's a weird thing. You haven't felt need for much food. That's what you guys see.
And that's one of the things Valerie will do. She'll bring him something that she knows that he likes. She figures he probably needs to eat.
She holds up one of the fruit and nut MREs. Apparently, she's been the one who's been... Have you been dropping by, or has it been someone else? Other concerned crewmen?
Oh, who? Just me, or are you talking about Gurkaza?
Valerie, have you been the one that's been dropping the rations off to him, or has it been other concerned crewmen?
She's been doing it. She makes it a point to come down and see him. She understands the humidity.
Yeah, I think that's when you notice that on the counter that he's been piling them, one of them is missing. So he has been eating.
Good. And she also realizes that humidity is important right now because it's sort of a comfort. It's his home. And there's always that comfort of home that makes you, you kind of, at times when you're feeling sad and alone, things just aren't right. There's that comfort of being at home, and probably the humidity feels like a blanket, and it feels like Kashyyyk. It's not inside of a ship.
Actually, that makes perfect sense too, because I did a mission trip in Costa Rica where I was gone for almost a month, and I was a young teen, and I started to get homesick for the country, not necessarily homesick for my own home, but when it rained, because it was during their dry season, I immediately felt reconnected with Washington, and it picked up my mood. So I can kind of see that, absolutely. Gurkaza, they're standing there, and she holds up another ration.
And something to drink.
Yeah, a bottle of water.
Yeah.
I tentatively take both and say thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just kind of turn around and put it down next to me.
Next to the pile.
Yeah, kind of next to the pile. Yeah.
I know you've been down here and you've been needing to be by yourself, but there's a problem, and I think you're probably the only one that can help us with this right now. And I'm hoping that with this problem, it might help you to find some comfort in what's going on. It's only through the fact of doing something. Sometimes just being busy can help. It's helped us. I mean, but anyway, we're having problems with the engines. They're not working.
How much damage did we take?
From what I understand, Tumpo, you've seen them? It's pretty bad. They were fired upon.
Yeah. Tunpo, I think you may have seen the schematics. Just being a pilot, you're worried about this kind of stuff. The hyperdrive's fine. All the conduits are okay. It's the physical exterior on the back. You're down to 20% efficiency, which means 80% of the engines have just been torched. And the commander's been trying to get Jebediah to do it, but Jebediah's been in the hangar. That's something else you know, is he hasn't left the hangar.
Yeah, I would relay the kind of numbers to him and add, like, we're running on fumes. There's nothing we can do from the inside without help.
Do you mention
it's going to take us weeks
Jebediah
and weeks.
Hasn't been working on it?
No. And I think because in this sort of not intervention, I guess, I think Tunpo is considering kind of like his observations. He doesn't know Grikaza as well as he knows Jebediah, just from briefly. And he's almost considering trying to go to him and try to work on that end.
Yeah, that makes
sense. And he doesn't
sense.
want to make it worse by creating spite. Like he almost thinks, I'm going to back out of here and go talk to Jebediah and see if we can't mend this rift.
Right.
I don't know, maybe he was said that to Valerie on the way down here.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. So Valerie knows that Tunpo intends to mend the relationship.
Good. That will help.
Grikaza, when you hear the numbers being repeated to you, you can't help but remember how Petrov was the engines guy. Jebediah is very talented, but Petrov was a whiz.
This is always Petrov's field. And I look back at the picture for a moment. And then I look back at them. And I just kind of stare. And then I just look up, sigh, and look back down and say, okay, give me 5 minutes and I'll get a team.
All right.
Okay. If you need anything else, just call. We're here around.
I just nod.
Yeah, so the door shuts on Grikaza, and Tunpo and Valerie are left there in the hallway.
We should probably go find Jebediah. He's in the hangar. Where's the sarcophagus? Where did we put that thing?
Meanwhile, Grikaza, you shut the door and you turn around. And behind the Gonk centipede, the sarcophagus has been tilted up and shoved in between the lockers in your room. And you have stuff like equipment racks in front of it. Because your paranoia hasn't left. And just having it near you feels better.
Oh, that's fine. So he's got back there. That's fine.
I walk over to to the makeshift hideout for the sarcophagus, and just kind of stare at it. Just kind of think to myself, what do you want? What is it that you're gonna do?
You think about it and you hear, Grakaza! Grakaza! And this memory floods into your head. He did it! He really did it. You've got to check it out. It is crazy. You're gonna love it. Come on! And all of a sudden, you're on Naboo and there's just rain pouring from outside. And he's motioning to you. You've got to see it.
I follow.
So, you know how Petrov's taken that canvas net and he's made it a little more adaptable for Jebediah to use for fishing?
Yeah.
He's gotten a Gandarian fish. It's bigger than a small shuttle.
Okay, I gotta see this.
So you head down this path towards the lake, and Petrov is clapping and laughing his butt off as Reed and Jebediah are trying to pull the fish up. Jebediah looks over to Reed, and he's like, I told you it was this big. You didn't believe me, but I told you. Ethan, what's Reed's response?
Stop talking and pull!
I tell you what, wait till Grakaza sees this thing. He's gonna be so proud of us. Shit. And he puts it over his shoulder, and you guys are pulling, but your feet are slipping in the mud. And Petrov finally comes over. He's working on attaching it to a winch that you guys have attached to a small vehicle. And it goes and starts pulling this fish that apparently, it kind of looks like an anglerfish, but it's the size of a school bus. And as they get older, they try to beach themselves. But if you can catch them before they beach themselves, they're really good to eat. And it's just like, trying to breathe. And Petrov is cracking up as he's winching it. He's like, you remember that time Grakaza tried to go swimming? O'Brien says over his shoulder. That kind of looked like that. And he winks at Grakaza.
Don't even. That was a whole different scenario.
Oh, you look like a wit. Ferry just sitting there. We couldn't tell if you're roaring or drowning. It all sounds the same.
My specialty was climbing and swinging. It was not swimming.
That's right. You're a tree people. Alright. Look, you can make love to each other. How about you guys help? Reed and Jebediah, they've broken up great sweat, and I'm trying to keep the net together.
You always need the Wookiee for something, don't you? And I move over to try and help lift the thing up.
As you go to help lift the thing up, he grabs your arm. Remember what Reed always says. We will never be able to accomplish a job unless we all do it together. And that's where we're going to end part 1 of today's episode. We'll be back for part 2 in just a bit.